They say that pirating games is bad because the developers lose money. But what if it's not as cut and dry as all that? What if there actually are benefits to people pirating your game? Yeah, there's no benefits to pirating, I hear you saying. It's just lost revenue. Well, tell that to this one developer who says after his game arrived on Pirate Bay, sales rocketed by 400%.
Danger Gazers is an indie game described as a post-apocalyptic roguelike top-down shooter, and it's currently available on Steam for $9.99 or £7.19. Now, you could pay for the game, or you could go over to Pirate Bay and get it for the princely sum of absolutely nothing. Now make no mistake, we're not telling you to go and steal this game. The developer of the game doesn't even mind. In fact, he put the game on Pirate Bay himself. Shot X Studio, a single-person developer, made the decision to post his game to Pirate Bay for people to download and play pretty much no strings attached. His only demand was that if players liked the game, that they consider supporting it in the future. The download on Pirate Bay comes with a message from the developer himself saying, "Hey there, Shot X here, the developer of Danger Gazers. The torrent was officially brought to you by Shot X. This is the latest DRM-free version of Danger Gazers 1.1.0. There's no catch here, no Steam-only features, just the fully functional game. As a developer, my only request would be to consider supporting and buying in case you like Danger Gazers and want more indie games in the future. Enjoy and have fun, Shot X."
You know, when I first read it, it reads like Danger Gazers, right? Gaz is dangerous, right?
I first read it as Danger Grazers and then Danger Geezers. So it's a bunch of Cockney blokes like, yeah, we're the Danger Geezers, alright?
Danger Geezers.
Do you know what nemesis means?
Gaming publishers tag on expensive digital rights management, or DRM, onto their games in order to avoid people pirating them. The general understanding is that if people get something for free, then they won't end up paying for it. But ShotX told Polygon that sales of Danger Gazers shot up by 400% after putting it on Pirate Bay, and it's on double the number of Steam wishlists now. So what if we got it all wrong when we assumed that pirating only has negative consequences for the developers? Of course, the DRM company Denuvo will say things like, every download is a lost sale, because they're the ones selling the DRM. They literally profit from fighting piracy. They'd go out of business if piracy wasn't an issue. Gaming companies spend a lot of time and money protecting their games from pirates. But what if pirating games wasn't the big bad wolf at the door that everyone in the media is making out? What if offering your game for free actually benefits you more in the long run? While some people would consider this advice unconventional wisdom, others may call it outright insane. But for ShotX and Danger Gazers, it certainly turned out to be true.
Shot X explained his reasoning on a Reddit post. There are people who can't afford the game, some want to play the game before buying, some that never buy games. Just trying to help those people out and make the best of the situation. There are a lot of ways to show support if you want to without buying the game, such as spreading the word about DG, sharing the torrent, feedback, whatever it is that you can come up with. And finally, I hope you have fun and enjoy the game. He told another outlet, the decision to release the torrent came along with the memories of my time spent with pirated software. I remember that I didn't feel any guilt at all, as there was simply no other choice for me at that moment. Moreover, had I known there were other options I could have supported developers with, I'd have done all I could without a second thought. It wouldn't have been effective if it was a planned PR move to get people to buy the product. It was just a kind act that I was lucky enough to get noticed. I'm sure it would have been apparent if it wasn't so. The response so far was amazing. There was a noticeable boost in sales, some kind individuals even donated twice as much, and most importantly, all the rest supported me in their own ways by sharing my game and respecting my decision. ShotX seems to believe that there is definitely more to it than the every download is a lost sale. So what exactly is the true cost of DRM and the likes of Denuvo for players and developers?
Now, one of the most notorious DRMs in use is the controversial Denuvo software. It's become a bit of a laughing stock of late, with hackers seemingly cracking the software faster and faster all the time. Games like Devil May Cry 5, Metro Exodus, Resident Evil 2, Far Cry New Dawn, Football Manager 2019 and Soul Calibur 6 were all cracked within the first week of release. Last year's Rage 2 was cracked within 24 hours of the game's launch. This was mainly down to Bethesda launching the game on their own Bethesda launcher without Denuvo implemented. They removed Denuvo from the Steam version 2 days later, and companies spend thousands of dollars on DRM like Denuvo trying to stop people from pirating the game. But the cost of Denuvo is much greater than just the money the publishers pay for it. Players who buy the games legitimately hate it because it impacts the performance of the games by by tying up the processor.
Eurogamer tested the performance impact of Denuvo on the game Devil May Cry 5 in March last year. They used the regular Denuvo version and then compared it with a clean DRM-free version that was mistakenly made available very briefly through Steam. They said Devil May Cry 5 without Denuvo runs 13 frames per second faster, with the DRM version of the code delivering 93% of the performance delivered by the unprotected version. A 7% performance impact may not look like much to the general consumer, but the average PC gaming enthusiast, who may have spent ages planning out his PC build for optimal performance to price ratio, a 7% hit in performance is huge, especially since Denuvo offers absolutely no benefit to the paying customer, only detracting from the gameplay experience, and may even drive up the price of the game in order for the publisher to recoup the Denuvo implementation fees. And then there's the fact that Denuvo is almost always eventually cracked, and when a pirated version becomes available for torrent, it's that version which performs, in Eurogamer's calculations, around 7% better.
I'm good with calculation.
This makes the pirated version a demonstrably superior version than the paid version.
By punishing the honest paying customers in this way, the implementation of Denuvo almost incentivizes people to seek out the pirated version. Not because they necessarily want to break the law, but because they don't want to pay a premium for an inferior product. This is why it's become a trend for developers to remove Denuvo from their games once it gets cracked. They don't want to inconvenience the honest paying customer any more than they need to. But why even bother with the likes of Denuvo at all? All this evidence points to how inconvenient and ineffective DRM is these days, and with the success of Danger Gazers on the back of it being pirated, developers should realize they now have more factors to weigh up. Exactly how much revenue is gained by implementing Denuvo in your game, or another way to phrase that is, how many potential pirates end up buying the game due to a torrent not being available. This number now has to be smaller than ever due to the speed at which games are cracked these days. If a player is going to pirate, then waiting a few more days after launch isn't a huge issue. Then consider how much publishers are paying Denuvo for it to be in the game. It'll be in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. Also consider how many people don't buy a game just because it has Denuvo. Some people just won't buy a Denuvo game out of principle. It's probably not a lot, but it's certainly a sum greater than zero. Also add to that the revenue from people who use the pirated version like a demo, a try before you buy type of scenario. They don't want to pay money for a bad game before they've tried it.
But this certainly doesn't mean that all games would sell 400% more if they were on Pirate Bay as well as Steam. Players supported Danger Gazers because they enjoyed the game and wanted to support the developer on his future projects. Plus, an indie developer who got noticed on social media probably wasn't making a ton of money before the game went free on Pirate Bay anyway. So selling 400% more for his game is going to be much easier for him than it will be for the likes of Ubisoft or EA or Activision. But this does prove that there are more variables at play than the likes of Denuvo would have you believe. There are benefits to having a popular game, whether it's fee to pay of Pirate Bay. That's a bit of a mouthful.
Free to play.
Free to play. Fee to play
or Pirate Bay.
Or free to nick.
Yeah.
It's not funny. It's never been funny. It's never gonna be funny.
So that's the assumptions that we're trying to break with this new information, really, and that's what it kind of brings to light, is that everyone assumes that you'll save money if you implement Denuvo. This guy made money because he allowed people to pirate his game. And you think of the likes of The Witcher 3, that's been published by CD Projekt Red. Never once have they had any sort of DRM in their game, and they also run GOG, which is an online store, DRM free, and if people wanted to, they could just torrent and pirate those games for days and days and days. But The Witcher 3 is one of the most successful games of this console generation, and that's probably due to the fact that people were able to play the game, realized how good it was, and then wanted to support the developers in return. So the moral of the story here is, if your game is good, then it doesn't matter if people are going to pirate it, because the impact of pirating is probably going to be a net positive or benefit in the long run, because people want to support you. If your game's shit, on the other hand, you probably want to get that Denuvo on it.
The problem with Denuvo is that people will always find their way around it, so all it does is hurt the paying consumers because they get the crappy version of the game, whereas the pirates are getting access to the open one, the cracked one, for free.
So a couple of talking points I've got on the ShotX thing. Now, he said himself he used to be a pirate, which is quite significant. He couldn't afford the games at the time when he was a kid, and many people are in the same boat as him now, obviously. And he said he had no choice, which is an interesting way to phrase it, right? Having no choice. It's we're not going to get into the morals of piracy in this video because that's going to take too long. But if many players can't afford to buy the game anyway, so they're not losing anything by allowing people to play them or pirate them in the long run. So that So that way, Denuvo saying that every download is a lost sale is complete and utter bollocks, right?
Yeah, because if they physically can't pay for it because they don't have the right amount of money, then
They're not losing it.
They're not losing any money because it's not a potential sale.
And it's interesting that his game is priced at $10, and there are thousands of indie games released every single second on Steam, and priced for half the price. So whether he's intended it or not, it's been great publicity for his game, and the fact that people are going to pay $10 for his game, he might have priced it a lot lower and not got as much revenue. So it's that barrier, isn't it? It's people think that it's worth it. He's priced it. I don't know. He's priced it in the right place.
And I think he's made money from donations and stuff like that. So he's been relying on the goodwill of gamers. And generally, if you're an avid indie fan, you're going to be more in tune with developers and more understanding of them. But if you're buying a game from a huge publisher like Ubisoft or Activision, you're not going to care about the publisher because they have got so little goodwill left with the gaming community. Okay. So if someone like those publishers tried this, it wouldn't go down the same way because you wouldn't feel guilty because they're always nickeling and diming everyone all the time anyway.
And I wonder whether the game had been as successful had he ever released it, or had someone who just pirated it and stuck it on Pirate Bay without that kind little message from the developer and his social media posts, which got him such goodwill from the community. So it would have been interesting to see how, because there must be loads of indie games that do get pirated, and I don't know, it's really unknown to know what the impact of that is on these developers. But I don't know, share what your thoughts are in this whole situation with us down in the comments below, because it is a conversation and we are interested in what you have to say.
Anyway, that's it for today's discussion video. As Gaz just said, make sure you let us know your thoughts down in those comments. Leave a like, hit subscribe, and of course that bell button for notifications. I've been Henry, he's been Gaz. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.